So what else is getting in the way of kids, boys or girls, capacity, ability and desire to learn? Ben Sacco is the Managing Director of Education Economy. Ben's in town. He's just landed this afternoon, actually, for the Queensland Secondary Schools Principals Association Conference, and we'll be meeting up to 300 state school principals over the next few days. The theme of that event is basically how to do things differently, which I think, Ben, seems appropriate when we're trying to puzzle through some of this data. Good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon, Joel.
Really appreciate you coming in. What is putting some students off learning in the first place?
What I'm hearing on the ground from principals that are facing this is the learning environment being an environment where young people can actually connect and feel connected to the purpose of the education, and how the pathway of learning encourages them to actually engage in literacy, numeracy, because of the life skills that come out of that. And that's a difficult concept for some of the young kids in primary schools to get their head around. So it relies on the environment actually creating that for them. And it's a challenge out there with a lot of the disruptions that are actually happening currently in today's modern classrooms.
That disruption thing that you bring up there, a generation of kids basically having a few of those really formative years not in the classroom at all, and obviously the device-heavy side of curriculum, that's coming up on the text line quite a bit this afternoon. I want to ask you about the curriculum, because we know we have a national curriculum that's followed. We know schools need to deliver. Teachers are under pressure to execute. We hear that bad behaviour and learning difficulties can be big impediments, basically. What is getting in the way, aside from that, before the bad behaviour? What is prompting the distraction?
We've got a curriculum teachers are asked to execute on and deliver, and we've got parents that want assurance that that curriculum is going to support their child and the learning pathway for them. We've got a message, though, that we need to be clear about. Is school a place for knowledge and academics, or is it a place for also strong well-being, sense of self, connection to peers and those that we engage with day to day? The classroom environment is becoming really complex with human issues that sometimes are coming from outside of the school into the classroom. And it's at a point where it's very hard to keep on top of some of the physiological and the psychological needs that young people have and deserve us to kind of respond to in the setting of education.
I guess a call for a humanising of the standards, potentially?
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity to actually take what curriculum is expected to be delivered and create opportunity through getting young people involved in the inquiry of the why. Why are we learning this? What's the relevance? Is it fit for the modern world? And creating space for teachers to actually enjoy what they do and have fun with the delivery of curriculum. There's expectation of what needs to happen, but there's also a need to create an environment where we have curiosity and fun in our day for both teachers and the students.
Ben Sacco is with you. The Managing Director of Education Economy is here for Queensland Secondary Schools Association Conference. We'll be addressing and meeting principals from public schools right across the state over the next few days. We're talking about figures that seem indicative of a gender gap in learning outcomes, Ben. What about the concept of boys and girls learning things differently?
I look at it, the concept of childhood development. We all learn differently as we are developing through childhood. And so I want to look at this as a body and brain conversation. What is going on for particularly young boys in a learning environment where they're not feeling like they can perform at a level where they're being assessed? And the way in which we assess young people, are we assessing correctly? Are we creating conditions for how they deliver results on a test under pressure? For some young people to come towards the week of NAPLAN testing and feel like they might not perform well, if they believe that and we're not picking up on that as a system and as teachers, it might be likely that they don't perform well. So helping them perform under pressure, but also understanding if they're keeping up with the rapid rate curriculum is being delivered as well is really important.
You mentioned environments too, learning environments at home, at school. I guess some of the differences and some of the nuances between the two. Are you talking about consistency in those environments, or are there just crucial things that need to apply to both, or do they need to be completely different worlds?
Yeah, I'm talking about partnership. raising a child as a parent is one thing, but schooling a child as an education system is another. And so the partnership between school and home and creating an environment where learning is actually an exciting opportunity to learn something we don't know and apply it in different ways, because that's what parents want. They want their kids to actually be successful at school. I haven't really met a parent in my 20 years in working in the space of education that says I want the worst for my child. I think that's not my experience. They want the best for their child, but we've got to have clear and realistic expectations of what's the best mean, particularly for teacher workload and capability. Teachers mean well, but they might not have resources to support some of that delivery in the way that they would like to as well.
School-based adversity, I guess its impact on learning potential, that's a topic that you're bringing to the table, I believe, this week. Can you expand on that? How are you addressing that?
So looking at the ways that the schooling environment might actually negatively contribute to positive outcomes for kids. So a young person that in the last week of a term is dreading the feeling of loss, that they've got friends, they're feeling connected, school is a protective factor for them. So in that case, they really want to stay in the school program and feel excited about what they're doing. But if for a young person that is actually walking into a situation of schoolyard bullying or experiences of toxic relationships that might exist, say in a Year 9, or Year 10 class, that can actually be an adverse experience that sticks with them and might actually be enough in some cases to mean that they don't want to come to school. So, school-based adversity there sort of plays to school refusal or what we call schools can't, where something has happened to a point where the child believes going to school is actually not a great idea for them.
That seems like a massive impediment to wanting to learn, finding the desire in the first place.
Yeah, exactly right. That's what education is always about, and teachers finding the potential in others and drawing that out. We can lose that in the crowded nature of what we're being asked to deliver in school systems. And I think the partnership between school and teachers isn't probably in some parts really strong, and that can have an impact as well.
The state government today, I mentioned at the top of the show, Ben Sacco is here, the Managing Director of Education Economy. It's 26 minutes past 3. Headlines at 3. Your call's welcome, of course, on the issue. 1300 222 612 is the phone number. $45 million every year to implement behaviour management strategies. That's here to stay. The Education Minister, John Paul Langbroek, confirmed that today. It was introduced 6 months ago. Given everything we've discussed, and I guess what you've had to say, do you think this funding is heading in the best possible direction at this time?
Yeah, I think any funding that can support teachers on the ground with the complexities they're being asked to respond to is a massive win for the state of education. That money is coming from, or federally if it's flowing in that way. But the caution should be, money looks great, but are we actually resourcing on the ground the things that our schools are asking for, where it's informed by the research and the evidence that says we need this? So I'd really like to see government of the day continue to get voice from teachers, from principals and their associations. And rally together in a unified way. So there's no us against them kind of mentality. It should be a collective approach to building a school for tomorrow, really, and an education system for tomorrow.
Are you saying that there might be a way to not talk about inherited issues, symptomatic problems, and to actually focus on one thing to fix this?
I think if we're serious about the way in which we want to build a quality Australian education system, we should think less about ourselves as individuals and more about the collective approach to how we do this.
Appreciate you coming in, Ben. All the best for the conference, and we'd love to follow. We'd love to hear more what you are hearing, obviously on the ground from principals in this part of the world. We know there's been a lot of action recently in the public space, so appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Ben Sacco there, the Managing Director of Education Economy.